Okay, more weapon talk. This knife is a fascine-knife, fascine-knife in Swedish, and it's made to work as a machete. Machete used for tougher woods than you would expect in the tropics. This is made to be able to cut very hard type woods and thick branches and stuff to make a fascine. Fascine. It's like a wall in trench warfare. You take a lot of branches and stuff that you have cut and use that to make a frame for all the mud and stuff and gravel and shit you will just mash together into this bulletproof thick high wall for your trench. So this is a fascine-knife and this model is the Swedish naval model. You can see the originals at the Swedish Maritime Museum. This version is the one that's made primarily to cut branches and wood, but it is also designed to function as a weapon. Now this piece I got from my grandfather. He worked at how do we say, iron mill, and they got tons of these, and they were about to melt them down, but a lot of people at the mill thought that what a terrible waste. These are good tools and good blades. And the original piece, or how do you say, this one originally had a lot nicer wood on the handle than it got now. This is what my grandfather used as a substitute. This is, I don't know what wood this is, but the original ones had something that looked like black ebony or something. And the rivets here are copper. The original rivets were made of brass. Let's talk about the more important things about this blade. You can see here, there was a guard here, originally made from brass, and the model made for combat. You can see this. It's quite large. It's like a huge Bowie knife, basically. Bowie knife, who cares? And yeah, it's got a balance point. Well, there somewhere. It's quite blade heavy, and it's good because it's made for cutting, but as I was about to say, the combat version of this is longer and a bit slightly less broad, and it has a guard that protects the fingers in a much functional way. But as I said, this version can be used for combat too. It just exposes the fingers to a greater extent, and the blade is slightly shorter. But this blade is also a bit wider, so this one will have just as much cutting ability. It will just have a slight disadvantage in reach. And this blade is really good for cutting. I mean, this thing beats every machete I have ever tried. It beats all the swords I have tried. I have tried quite some swords. I have owned the uh, Hanwei so-called Banshee sword. It's modeled after some Burmese sword, and they call that one super machete or something, or some combo between a machete and a sword and cutting sword. That is a really good sword, that one, and it's even more blade heavy than this, but this is still superior in cutting ability, and the reason for that is probably that this is a really stiff blade. I mean, this blade is that thick. It's as thick as well, your average Bowie knife, but it's extremely stiff. I mean, swords and stuff don't tend to be this stiff and still be made from a good steel. This steel is really good. I have no idea what makes this steel good, but I have abused this sword, and it just gets a bit dull, and then I can sharpen it, and it will work fine again. I mean, most swords that are this stiff will break when you just cut away into a thick oak trunk or something like that. This one will just, I mean, this thing is probably as durable as most axes. Fantastic weapon. If some of you out there are starting to think, well, I want to be able to buy this type of blade, then you can get them in Swedish and I guess some Danish and Norwegian antique stores, maybe in other antique stores too. And they are about usually about 1,000 kronor. That would be around what would that be in pounds? It would be about I guess around 70 pounds or something, and around, I guess, I don't know what the currency is right now, but I guess around $90 or so. And well, extremely good weapon. And if you look at the pattern, the blade shape, you can see the curvature here. Now it's much less pronounced than it was originally, because it has been dulled before they sent it to the iron mill. So it originally looked very much like a coppice or falcata, and you can basically, I guess, say that these blades can be used exactly like the falcata. You can basically consider them being a falcata used in the 19th century, in the 1800s. I will see if I can come up with something bad about this blade, but I really can't. This piece lacks the guard, and it could be a bit sharper at the tip, and I will say that the handle is really good. It is extremely good. It's really comfortable, and it really digs into the hand in a good way. It's really firm. You can really grip it firm without having to really squeeze it. As some of you know, when you really squeeze something, you probably will get a bit slower in your movements because the residual tension will spread throughout your body and you will tense up. So it's like, but yeah. Great blade.